Down and out, riddled with doubt, had nowhere to go. Everything's moving so slow, but time's moving too fast. I hope this feeling don't last. Well, I've been away from myself too long. My body is aching from all my wrongs. Until my time is through, I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. Until my time is through, I'll keep slipping on to you, yeah, on to you. I was down and out, so riddled with doubt.
I am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a booger and a shooter and that shake is won't go down. Baby's got a booger and a shooter and that shake is won't go down. Corrosion, paradise, erosion, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Well, good morning, all my little pixies and elves. I hope you're having a wonderful election day hangover morning. Is that what it is? Did some of you stay up all night and watch the results to see who would be chosen by the establishment to be the next puppet leader of the United States? Did you do that? Not me. I didn't do that shit. I went to bed. I said, fuck it, I gotta get up early. I gotta get this news to everybody. I gotta get all this stuff ready. Ain't got time for this bullshit. Because I knew what was gonna happen. I mean, pretty much all did. What was it? John said up here in the chat. He said, let's see, where is it? It was inevitable. They couldn't even get the old senile guy to back her. That's right. They couldn't even get her old boss to give her, a recommendation on her resume to be president. So he's like, who's running? What? Onions? Who's got onions? I like onions. Fucking Joe Biden. Who gives a fuck about? I'm so glad. I'm gonna be so glad. I mean, I can't stand Trump. Let's couch all that. I don't like anybody coming in. I don't like none of these people. But couch Joe's sleepy ass. I'm glad to see him gone. And that fucking Stephen Miller, that fucking Muppet from hell at the State Department. I'd be glad to see him fuck around for it. You woke up late and laughed with Chris and Marcus for a while. Yeah, they did a thing last night. Everybody and their mom had like some sort of election show last night. I was on Franco's show last night, Frank Analysis, and his was more of a are you freaking out? Just chill. Come hang with us. Let's talk it out, buddy. You know, let's just have a chill stream while everybody goes crazy to see who the next puppet's gonna be. But you know, it is what it is. We're gonna get to all that in just a second. For shout outs to all the peeps in the house. Of course, we got Antoine Dix in your mouth. I said it like that just so you know, so it'd be appropriate for you there, prop. John Kemper, good to see you. Willie Bragg show. Willie was on last night with Bragland. That was good. He had a good little 3-hour show last night. Here, Willie likes some marathons too. Who else is here? We got Max RJ. Good to see you, my friend. Yipper sneaking in. Congrats, Uncle Warren. You voted fascist in. I thought fascist was already in. When did they leave? I think they're still there. Who else is here? I said Max is here. Good to see you. Miguel 5000, Quantum Computer Online. Bleep, bloop, bloop, bleep, bleep, bloop. Kamashwari Kate. If I don't go make my coffee, my water will boil away. I saw it's like really tiny lettering here up on this other screen I got, and I thought you said something to the effect of, if I don't get my coffee, my bail money goes away or something like that. So it's still a little early for me, even though we are a little bit later. We got Dee in the house, Around the World with Dee and Friends. She should have her show on tonight too. Willie, you doing a show tonight as well? What time are you doing yours, sir? Just let me know. Who else is up in this bis, as they say, or bish? Do they say bish? B-I-S-H for bitch. I think that's everybody. Nobody. We got our usual lurkers on Rockfin and Rumble over there. Let's get to some announcements. Of course, the ongoing struggle that our buddy Chanda's going through with her battle against lung cancer. She needs every little bit of help that she can get, whether it's funding or just positive vibes. Either way, every little bit helps. So if you want to help her out financially, the GoFundMe link for her is in the description below. If you don't have the bread, but you still want to do something, you can take that link and share it out. Share it out to your pals. They may have a little extra cash to float her way. 8 p.m. tonight. Okay, Willie. Very good. Oh, and Oz and Chanda were live last night too. Yeah, everybody was live last night. Marcus and Chris from Political Matrix, they were live. I think everybody, Kevin from Black Bear News was live, and God only knows how many of the grifters were live making money last night. I hope you made a ton of money, you sons of bitches. Yeah, so is that on the announcements? That's all the thingies, and then the things. Yeah, I guess we might as well get to the bullshit. You know, we don't usually like doing election stuff on here, but it was the election. So, and yes, I know those people who are probably living out in the middle of the woods that don't have internet or a phone probably don't know this, but everybody else does. Dun, 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 dun. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Wrong way, my friend. All right, let's try this. So, of course, Trump wins U.S. presidency. So, I know, shocker. You're shocked beyond belief. He made a historic comeback after passing the 270 Electoral College votes threshold required to win the race for the White House. According to U.S. media, so there he is. He's the one on the right, not this Halloween chick on the left there. Aren't you gonna miss Kamala, and Kamala just talking like, you know, there's joy in your heart and in your Timberlands? And why can't we all just be nice people and just have joy and let us be co-presidents? Can we be co-presidents? CJ, hello to you. Good morning. So anyway, let's get to it. Trump clinched victory in the race for the White House against Kamala Harris after securing a majority in at least 4 swing states, according to multiple polls and media organizations. The Republican himself earlier declared victory in a speech in Florida to a cheering crowd. Harris, who did not address her supporters on election night, sound familiar, has yet to concede. According to a projection from the New York Times, Trump has won 4 battleground states, North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, while leading in Arizona, Michigan, and Nevada. As a result, he is estimated to have won at least 277 Electoral College votes compared to 224 for Harris, thus surpassing the required threshold of 270. Harris would have had a lot more, but she threw that pick six in the fourth quarter, and that sealed the game for Trump. The outcome of the election stands in stark contrast to the 2020 vote when Trump lost Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin to Joe Biden. Trump declared victory while addressing his supporters at the Palm Beach County Convention Center in Florida, pledging to, quote, turn our country into something very special, unquote. He's going to turn it into something, all right, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a special hot mess. Many world leaders have congratulated the Republican, with messages pouring in from around the globe. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign has announced that the Democrat will not make a planned address to supporters at Howard University. Harris was a late entrant to the race, securing the Democratic nomination after President Joe Biden ended his campaign in July following a disastrous debate performance against Trump, in which he appeared confused and struggled to finish sentences. So yeah, as you know, these elections are decided by the Electoral College, meaning that a candidate who loses the popular vote can still win the contest overall. So he did manage to get 277, and I believe he got the popular vote as well. More than 158 million people took part in the election, with almost 86 million casting their votes early, either in person or by mail. For the first time in modern history, self-identified independents outnumbered Democrats at the polls and were tied with Republicans at 34% of the electorate, according to exiting polls data from Edison Research, right? So, yeah. And you're going to see that number increase, too. The Democrats are pretty much toast. When you promise nothing but genocide and more money to go to genociders and Nazis, and then you tell people in North Carolina who have nothing, who just had everything wiped out, you'll get $750. You know, if you fill out these forms, whatever. So, and we're going to get to like the maps and stuff like that here and just all this stuff, because we're going to go into like state ballot initiatives too. So two of the squad, you remember the squad, those people that were supposed to go into Congress and, you know, make a ruckus. I think they were supposed to do that. Well, that didn't happen. But two have survived. So Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar won re-election amid Gaza conflict and U.S. foreign policy debate. They're like, oh, we're so happy. We're the only members of the squad left, I think. I don't know. What's her name? Presley? Ayanna? Is she one of those people too? I don't know. I don't keep track of trends like that anymore. Democrats Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have won re-election and continue their position in American politics after being the first two Muslim women to serve in the United States Congress. Their victories come amid the backdrop of Israel's ongoing war in Gaza, which has killed more than 43,000 Palestinians, with diplomatic and military support from Tel Aviv's key ally, the United States. Tlaib, who was also the only Palestinian-American woman in Congress, defeated her Republican opponent yesterday for a fourth term as representative from Michigan, with support from the large Arab-American community in Dearborn, Michigan. The Associated Press called the race with just 18% of the votes counted. Tlaib secured 77% of the vote, with her opponent receiving 19%. In the days leading up to the election, Tlaib declined to endorse Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris for U.S. President. She, however, urged Americans to go to the polls and vote. Omar, a former refugee and Somali American, won for a third term in Minnesota. She faced Republican challenger Dalia Al-Aqidi, an Iraqi-American journalist who describes herself as a secular Muslim, and called Omar, who was a proponent of Palestinian rights, pro-Hamas, because of course she did. The Congresswoman won 76% of the vote compared to Al-Aqidi's 23%, according to the AP, which called the race with 87% of the vote counted. Both Tlaib and Omar have repeatedly spoken against Israel's war on Gaza, followed by the October 7th Hamas attack, the ensuing humanitarian crisis, and the Biden administration's stance on the conflict. The two have faced a slew of attacks from pro-Israel groups as well as fellow lawmakers for their remarks. Tlaib has been a leading voice against America's military aid to Israel and for the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank. She was censored by the House last year over rhetoric she used following the Hamas attack. Meanwhile, Omar is a part of an informal group of lawmakers known as the Squad, which is made up of progressive Congress people. Oh yeah, I forgot AOC's, and she was like the Squad leader or some shit. I don't know. So those two made it, in case you were wondering. What about my little favorites? Yeah, your little favorites won. But Jamal Bowman bounced in the primary. Cori Bush bounced in the primary. And I guess Ayanna Presley wasn't considered part of the Squad. Like I said, I don't keep up with drama. You're probably hearing the buzzing outside. That's not me. It's somebody with a leaf blower, because it's that time of year to blow those leaves. So you're thinking, well, what about the House and Senate? What's going on with those guys? Well, the House, it's going to be a little bit before we figure out the whole thing there, maybe a day or so. But Republicans flipped the U.S. Senate, ending 3 years of Democratic control. There he is, with that beard. let's see here. Okay. Republican Party has reclaimed control of the U.S. Senate, ending 3 years. Ending 3 years of Democratic leadership. Tuesday's general election saw. You okay there, bud? Tuesday's general election saw a third of the upper chamber in Congress, or 34 seats, hit the ballot, of which approximately 9 were competitive. The Democrats were vulnerable to losing their grip on the chamber given their narrow majority. A coalition of 4 independent senators and 47 Democrats gave the party its 51-person majority out of a total of 100 possible seats. The party needed to defend every seat possible to retain control, but on Tuesday, 2 key defeats decisively put the power over the Senate back in Republican hands. Democratic incumbent Sherrod Brown lost his bid for re-election in the Midwestern state of Ohio, and he had been there for a long time, too. Yeah, we got Game.Film and Smeghead in the house. Good to see you, fellas. What's going on? Meanwhile, in West Virginia, Republicans picked up a seat formerly held by retiring independent Senator and Dollar Tree George W. Bush Joe Manchin. Yeah. So now they have the presidency, and they'll have the Senate. So let's kind of look at the map here. I kind of stole this from the New York Times. I don't usually watch that rag, but here it is. So you can see all the red here. These 2 states, Nevada and Arizona, haven't been called yet, I don't think, but it looks like Trump is leading in both of those. It's really not going to matter. He's already got over 270. So all this is just whatever, right? Michigan, that was a battleground state. And now it's not in play anymore because, like we said, it's all moot. Maine and their crazy shit, that was going to go to Harris. And Alaska is probably going to go to Trump too, but there you go. So, like we said, in the Senate, 52 Republicans and 42 Democrats. I think you have 2 independents with what's his name from Maine, King, and you got Bernie, who is an independent. So I don't know where the other 4 are. I don't know what this means. So some of these, like in Nevada, is too close to call. But it really doesn't matter because, like I said, Republicans have 52, so that means they have the majority. Now, if they get 60, if they end up getting 60, which I don't think they can, no, because they already have 42. If they were to end up 60, they could have what they call a supermajority, and would be able to get things done. But they still might be able to. It really depends on the House. Over here. So right now, as it stands, 198 Republicans and 178 Democrats. I believe there's 435 representatives in the House. So, So a lot of these are still yet to be decided, right? I'm trying to see if there's anything big in here as far as like any kind of indication on how it's going to go, because the at the beginning of the day, I believe the Democrats had only a 4-seat lead in the House. And you're like, man, boy, what could the squad could have done with that 4-seat lead, right? They could have totally said, nope, you're not going to get our votes, and pulled a what's his face that got that guy this guy Johnson as House Speaker, right? They used their leverage and ended up getting the librarian guy his seat. So it's like with the numbers, even with small numbers, they could have done something, but they were too pussy to do anything about it. let's see here. So if you're wondering like how Jill Stein and everybody else did, let's look at the numbers here. This is from Google, so take it as you want. So there's Donald Trump, 71,660,000 votes. So he won the popular vote too, by about 3.5%. Nobody else won any electoral votes. Jill Stein nationwide ended up with 624,235 votes, or 0.4%. She was trying to go for 5%. So they could get in, the Green Party could get in on the debates and get the matching funds, because that's so important to make sure that your candidate wins in a system that needs to be overhauled immensely. They still had Robert Kennedy as an independent on some of these things, and he almost won 600,000 votes. Chase Oliver from the Libertarian Party, 562,000 votes. And then other candidates, I would assume that includes Cornel West, 316,660 votes. So tonight on ExtraBulla Live, I'm not going to have a guest. I'm going to get on there. We're going to do a little election decompression and talk more about some of these numbers and what elections really mean in this day and age when our system is so corrupt. How are you going to do things with elections when you don't have a solid footing for these elections? That's the thing. So the world reacts. Of course, they're going to react after Donald regains his throne. I can't remember the last time a president won, lost the election the second time, and then came back to win it again. I can't remember. I'm sure it's happened before. So Donald Trump won the U.S. presidential election in a stunning comeback. The AP News reports, and I told you all this stuff. Speaking of West Palm Beach, before the latest results came in, Trump pledged to bring a golden age to the United States. Not a golden shower. Well, he might bring that too. Praising what he called the greatest political movement of all time. His Democratic rival Kamala Harris has not yet conceded. World leaders rushed to congratulate Trump today as votes were still being counted after early projected wins in key battle states. So in Israel, they're like, yes, more genocide. Well, we're going to get more genocide anyway, so it's all good. Congratulations on history's greatest comeback. Your historic return to the White House offers a new beginning for America and a powerful recommitment to the great alliance between Israel and America. This is a huge victory in true friendship. Prime Minister Thumbtack posted on the tweeters. Israel Katz. Now, you live in Israel and your first name's Israel? Come on. That's a little silly. Who was named defense minister yesterday. We'll tell you about that in a moment. Said, together we'll strengthen the U.S.-Israel alliance, bring back the hostages, and stand firm to defeat the axis of evil led by Iran. Bring back the hostages. They're so funny. Far-right ministers in Netanyahu's government also celebrated. Yes, God bless Trump, said National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, while Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said, God bless Israel, God bless America. Yeah. In Qatar, the Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani said he looked forward to working with Trump again in promoting security and stability both in the region and globally. Egypt President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said he hoped Trump's return to the White House could help bring peace to the Middle East. Yeah, good luck with that. I wish him all the success, and I look forward to reaching peace together, upholding regional stability, and strengthening the strategic partnership between Egypt and the United States and their friendly peoples. Iran, the livelihoods of Iranians will not be affected by the U.S. election. Government spokeswoman Fatima Mohajirani told reporters after a cabinet meeting in the capital, Tehran. The U.S. elections are not really our business. Our policies are steady and don't change based on individuals. We made the necessary predictions before, and there will not be change in people's livelihoods. Hamas, Satan Yahoo is worse than slump. Yeah. Our position on the new U.S. administration depends on its positions and practical behavior towards our Palestinian people, their legitimate rights, and their just cause, the Palestinian group said in a statement. The new president, quote, must listen to the voices of the American community itself, rejecting the aggression on Gaza, it said in a statement, adding that the new U.S. administration must realize that our people are continuing to confront the occupation and will not accept a path that diminishes their rights. Okay. The Palestinian Authority says, we are confident that the U.S. will support under your leadership the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people, President Mahmoud Abbas said in a statement, reaffirming the Palestinian commitment to the pursuit of freedom, self-determination, and statehood in accordance with international law. In Afghanistan, the Taliban government says it hopes for a new chapter in relations with the U.S. following Trump's victory. Foreign Ministry spokesman Abdul Kahar Balki said on tweeters that they hope the Trump administration will take realistic steps towards concrete progress in relations between the two countries, and both nations will be able to open a new chapter of relations. China says, our policy towards the U.S. is consistent. Minister of Foreign Affairs spokeswoman Mao Ning said at a news briefing, we will continue to view and handle China-U.S. relations in accordance with the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. So, yeah, a lot of diplomatic jargon and stuff here. In Taiwan, President Lai Ching-te expressed confidence that the U.S.-Taiwan relations would continue to serve as a cornerstone for regional stability, as she congratulated Trump. In Ukraine, I appreciate President Trump's commitment to the peace through strength approach in global affairs. This is exactly the principle that can practically bring just peace in Ukraine closer, President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote on the tweeters. We look forward to an era of a strong U.S. Under President Trump's decisive leadership. We rely on continued strong bipartisan support for Ukraine and the United States. And oh yeah, money please, Donald please. Finally, in Russia, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told journalists he was unaware of any plans by President Vladimir Putin to congratulate Trump, since the U.S. is an unfriendly country. That's right. No kissies for you. We will draw conclusions based on concrete steps and concrete words. Ooh, concrete. Peskov said. Trump has one useful quality for us. As a businessman to the core, he mortally dislikes spending money on various hangers-on and stupid hanger-on allies, on bad charity projects, and on voracious international organizations, former President Dmitry Medvedev's posted on the Telegram. We are under no illusions about the American president-elect, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, adding that it will work with a new U.S. administration and prioritize achieving its set goals in Ukraine. It said its conditions on ending the conflict are unchanged and are well known in Washington. Okay, so UK, Keir Starmer, suck dick, you know what that is. NATO, European Union, more dicks, please. And of course, Canada, all the dicks, just let us keep our Nazis. In Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum said Trump's election victory was no cause for concern for Mexico, but that she would await the official results before offering her congratulations. Some little salt. No congratulations from me, bitch. Argentina, of course, congratulations on your formidable electoral victory from Javier Milei. That asshole. Brazil, democracy is the voice of the people and it must always be respected, said Lula. France, nom-noms, ready to work together. Hungary said it's a much-needed victory. Okay, you get the gist. You understand. Everybody's just like, yay, don't bomb us. Please. Please don't murder us. So there was a lot of, obviously, big major election day, but that also means ballot measures and state ballot initiatives. Our buddy Roger Meadows, huge proponent of those things, and I like talking to him about those things too. So this is from MSNBC. This is not MSNBC. This is regular ass NBC. So these are some of the ballot measures that's going on. So there's abortion, election and voting, immigration, marijuana, marriage, and minimum wage. We'll try to go through these as briefly as we can. So, right to abortion passed in Arizona and in Colorado. In Colorado, it was a right to abortion, and health insurance coverage creates a right to abortion in the state constitution and allows the use of public funds for abortion. So that's in Colorado there, and that passed with almost 62% of the vote there. In Arizona, provides a right to abortion in the state of Arizona before the point of fetal viability. Florida, they passed their right to abortion there. Provide a constitutional right to abortion before fetal viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's health care provider. So that not passed. It says not passed, but it says yes. Wait a minute. Okay. All right, I don't know what I'm talking about. And this was in Maryland. The right to abortion establishes a right to reproductive freedom, defined to include the ability to make and effectuate decisions to prevent, continue, or end one's own pregnancy. So that passed. Montana's right to abortion passed as well. So did Missouri's, which was very close, 51 to 40, like almost 52 to 48% there. Montana, they passed it, like we said. Nebraska had two initiatives, a right to abortion and the prohibit abortions after first trimester. So these were two different things. Establishes a right to abortion until fetal viability. That passed. Well, no, actually, that failed. Well, it's failing right now. It's too close to call. But the prohibits abortions after the first trimester unless necessitated by medical emergency or the pregnancy is a result of sexual assault or incest. So that passed. That part of it did pass. Nevada's right to abortion passed. New York's right to abortion. There was already a vote. Let's see what this is. Establishes that people cannot be denied rights based on their ethnicity, national origin, age, and disability, or sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy. Okay, so very specific there in New York, and that one passed. South Dakota, the right to abortion did not pass, and it was almost 60% voting against it. Elections and voting. So there were some of these states were voting to get rid of or to keep or get rid of to ranked choice voting, I should say. Desert Mantis, good morning to you. Luciandar, very good. Good to see you. Where are you at? Oh, you're on the Rumblies. You're on the Rumbly Tumblies. Good to see you. So to repeal top 4 ranked choice voting in Alaska, they narrowly voted to repeal ranked choice voting there. In Arizona, they were trying to eliminate partisan primaries and replace them with open system. That failed. Colorado, the ranked choice voting initiative failed it there. No excuse absentee voting amendment passed in Connecticut. District of Columbia, they passed ranked choice voting. In Iowa, citizenship required to vote and allow 17-year-olds to vote in primaries. That passed. There in Idaho, that's Idaho Joe's neighborhood there. We love us some Idaho Joe around here. But unfortunately, they could not pass ranked choice voting there. It failed by almost 70%. But citizenship requirement to vote did pass there with about 65%. In Idaho. Kentucky, their citizenship requirement to vote passed. As did the one in Missouri, with also a prohibit ranked choice voting. So they had the dual require citizenship and prohibit ranked choice voting. They voted for both of those. North Carolina's citizenship requirement vote, it passed. Ranked choice voting in Nevada did not pass. They were doing top fives there. They voted to increase, but they also increased. Was that Nevada? Yeah, that was Nevada. So they also increased. They voted to increase voter ID requirements. In Ohio, they're voting to establish the Citizens Redistricting Commission. It replaces the current Ohio Redistricting Commission with a citizen-led redistricting commission. So apparently the citizens said, no dice, we don't want it. At least so far, it's up by like 7%. It's probably going to not pass, unfortunately. Oklahoma, where the citizenship requirement to vote has passed. That's not the song, but it did pass. And in Oregon, ranked choice voting for federal and state elections did not pass either. So a lot of people talking about ranked choice voting and how good it is, but yeah, a lot of these states do not want it, and that has something to do, with they want to be able to. They don't want you to have ranked choice voting. That means they won't be able to control which candidates that they'll choose for you. How about RC voting in Oregon? I don't know. Haven't got there yet. RC voting. What are you talking? Oh, I think I mentioned Oregon. Did I not? We'll see if it's down here. We'll get to it. So the redistricting. So Oklahoma, Oregon. Oh, Oregon. So Oregon ranked choice voting for federal and state did not pass. So that was Oregon. Citizenship required in South Carolina to vote. Top two primary. What is this? Amendment H, top two primary elections, and this is South Dakota, provides for open primary elections for the offices of governor, state legislative office, county office, the United States Senate, or the United States House of Representatives. The two candidates receiving the highest number of votes for a single office will advance to the general election. Survey said, no, we ain't voting for that. In Wisconsin, they have voted for citizenship requirement to vote. I thought that was already a thing. I thought you had to be a citizen to vote. I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. Going to immigration. Of course, a lot of these are going to pass. Increased border law enforcement in Arizona passed. Marijuana. Let's get to the goodies. Florida has legalized recreational marijuana. So, my God, if anybody on this planet needs recreational marijuana, it's the citizens of Florida. The initiative would legalize recreational marijuana for adults 21 years and older. So I think they already have medical, that this was the thing. So, and kind of close, only 56%. But I guess a 12-point win. Oh, wait, it says not passed? What? Wait a minute. The initiative would legalize, but this says it's not passed. But the votes say yes. I don't know what that is. It looks like it's not going to pass in North Dakota. I have a buddy in North Dakota. He doesn't smoke weed, but still. If he wanted to, it probably wouldn't. Well, that's the thing. Good morning, Bella. Good to see it. It says maybe they just put not passed because not all of the votes are in yet. Or maybe they expect the votes to come in that are remaining. There's 371,000. But even then, it still wouldn't overturn it. I think this is just a mistake. I think they did pass it in Florida. South Dakota, of course, they did not pass it there. Or at least, yes, it's not really close for South Dakota. So I'm not quite sure what Prop 8 is over in California, but there is a repeals Prop 8 and establishes a right to marry in the California Constitution. Apparently that passed. Minimum wage in Alaska, increased minimum wage and paid sick leave. They voted for that in Alaska. In Arizona, they have defeated a measure that would decrease the minimum wage for tipped workers in Arizona. So that did not pass by a substantial amount. Let's see. California. So increases minimum wage to $18 an hour by 2026 and thereafter adjusting the rate annually by increases to the cost of living. They did not vote for it, or at least not right now. It's still fairly close, and there's still like 7 million votes remaining, so we'll have to wait on that. Massachusetts voting to increase the minimum wage for tipped employees, and they voted that down as well. So minimum wage and earned paid sick time in Missouri got passed. And I believe that's all the big ones fit to print. Told you, got a lot of this stuff going on today, folkies. Yeah. Oh, 60% is needed. Is that why it didn't pass? Okay. So let me just check that out real quick. So, okay, I was wondering. I was like, well, it passed, but it didn't pass. What? So they needed 60%. They only got 56%. Okay. And that's where it is right there. Okay, see, that's why I have such a smart chat that pays attention to shit. Choosy! What's up, buddy? All right. So we're out of the voting zone. Thank God. But, if you still have issues with it or whatever, tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time, I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern, we're just going to have a very informal ExtraBulla Live. I'll be talking about some of the election stuff and just chatting with you guys and just seeing where you're at. And, now that people don't have elections to focus on, can we actually focus on the real stuff like direct actions and financial aid to help strikers? Can we start doing that now, please, instead of like worshiping this woman who only runs for president every 4 years and does nothing else? Can we, or are you guys, or some of you guys still grifting off of that, or is it still a moneymaker for you? Just let me know so we can actually talk some real serious shit. Speaking of serious shit, we've had our fair share of hurricanes come to the Gulf of Mexico, and it's, even though we are here getting close to the middle of November already, usually you're going to get some sneakers that sneak in at this time. And sure enough, here comes Hurricane Rafael. So, Hurricane Rafael forecast to landfall in Cuba as a Cat 3, then weaken over the Gulf of Mexico. So, let's see what this nice lady has to say about all that.
Rafael continues to strengthen and is forecast to be near major hurricane status before making landfall in western Cuba Wednesday. Rafael is still expected to weaken significantly as it moves closer to the northern Gulf Coast early next week due to several factors, one being dry air. The upper level winds are going to steer the system west, but how far west is the big question. A weaker high allows Rafael to curve more north, and a stronger high takes Rafael farther west. Increasing wind shear over the next few days should also help tear the storm apart. In fact, it's worth noting that some computer models have Rafael dissipating before even reaching the U.S. Gulf Coast. Either way, Cuba is going to be hardest hit with destructive winds, flash flooding, and mudslides. Tropical storm conditions, including isolated tornadoes, will be possible across the Florida Keys Wednesday.
All right, so and here's what it looks like right now. So it's right here, close to Cuba, to the northwest tip there. Tip, giggity. So it's going to cross over with John Edward right here. It's right here right now. It's 110 miles an hour. It's right. It's down to a category 2 already. And then it's going to go over here. And she mentioned the dry air. And see, that's the thing about hurricanes. They feed off of wet, hot moisture. And don't we all, fellas? But if it hits that dry air, it's just not going to do anything. It's going to help break it up too. So by the time it gets over here, you got Rick's people and Game.Film's people down here. They're probably just going to get a lot of rain. Or my people over here in South Mississippi would probably get their fair share of rain too, but hopefully no destructive winds or anything like that. And those are the worst parts. That and the flooding too. Of course, the flooding is always the worst. And drought is a problem too, apparently. Speaking of dry air, because the record number of Americans are plagued by drought amid crop damaged fears. A high-pressure system over North America has caused widespread dryness across the lower 48, pushing a record percentage of the U.S. population into drought conditions, damaging crop harvests and cattle pastures. The latest data from the U.S. Drought Monitor shows that 78% of the U.S. population resides in areas plagued by abnormal dryness and drought, according to NASA Earth Observatory. Look at all that drought. Exceptional drought over here. That's like around the El Paso area. That's where my buddy Seth is. Drought over here in Ohio and West Virginia, right over here in whatever this is. Is this Wyoming or is this Nebraska? I always get these two confused. Why you gotta make them square? All right. So drier and warmer than normal weather dominated the country during much of October, caused by a strong ridge of high pressure that lingered high in the atmosphere for weeks. According to the Southeast Regional Climate Center, 100 weather stations across the U.S. recorded no rain in October, including the cities of Philadelphia, Atlanta, Birmingham, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Sacramento. Over 70 weather stations recorded the driest October on record. Maybe that's, what's his name, Ben Shapiro's wife. She has something to do with it, right? Because she doesn't have... she's not wet. Anonymous and Fingerman. Those chemtrails, the chemtrails, they work, my friend. That map that I just showed you shows conditions in the contiguous U.S. on October 29th, as reported by the U.S. Drought Monitor, a partnership of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the NOAA, and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. The map depicts drought intensity in progressive shades of yellow to red. Yeah, you know how a map works. Drought had expanded from covering just 12% of the country in June to 54% as of a few days ago. The rapid development created what NOAA describes as a flash drought in many parts of the country. Flash droughts are typically brought on by lower than normal rates of precipitation, accompanied by abnormally high temperatures, wind, or radiation. In terms of agricultural markets, Bloomberg published a new note outlining how droughts in top farming belts in the U.S. could impact winter wheat production. And this looks like it's going to be dropping off from the drought. Yeah, the old Dust Bowl days are back, folks. You have to be like 1,000 years old to remember the Dust Bowl, but you know, all that drought, it's going to affect those crops. And when it affects the crops, that means the prices of those crops, just like gas prices in California. See, you like that segue? They're about to go even higher, those prices. A series of new state regulations are set to make gas prices in California rise even higher in 2025, despite the state already having the highest gas prices in the nation. Well, that's just not good enough. You just have to have more. Dry as fuck. You are exactly. Why'd you run away? I ran away, though. Warren is scary. Well, I mean, in some ways, just don't look at me naked, probably. That's, turn the light off. As the Washington Examiner reports, the California Air Resources Board, or CARB, is set to vote on a series of new fuel standards regulations on November 8th, which is 2 days from now. These regulations will go into effect immediately if approved. Will increase the average price of gas in the state by 47 cents, according to CARB's own estimates. However, a study from the University of Pennsylvania's Kleinman Center for Energy Policy released its own study suggesting that prices are more likely to increase by at least 65 cents. Following backlash after the initial announcement of the new regulation, CARB appeared to backtrack and suggested it would revamp the new rules to minimize the price increase. Yeah, good job, Bob. But instead, they simply reannounced the same regulations with the added caveat that instead of being able to calculate the price increase for Californians, their study simply could not determine what the price increase would be. We told you it was going to be this. Fuck you. Oh, well, then I don't know. Then I don't know is my new answer. I don't expect them to, said CARB Executive Officer Stephen Cliff. He added that although there will be additional impacts to cost to refiners, he did not think that those costs would impact consumers as well. Oh, you are so precious. Stephen Cliff, you are so precious thinking that those costs would not impact consumers. It always impacts consumers, stupid. The fuck's wrong with you? The coming price increase is in addition to other regulations approved by Governor Gavin Newsom as part of an anti-price gouging bill, which is kind of ironic, which mandates all oil refineries in the state to build new storage facilities for reserve gasoline. As a result of the higher costs of building new refineries, many companies have been forced to simply shut down various facilities. The net decline in oil refineries means that the state may have to turn to importing foreign oil instead. Ruh-roh. In 2019, California had 11 gas refineries. Currently, it is down to just 8. As a result, imports of oil from overseas are expected to more than double from 8% 5 years ago up to 17% in 2025. But I thought the United States was the one that led the world in oil production now. I thought that was the thing, right? Am I wrong? Was I drinking heavily when I heard that? I probably was. I drink heavily sometimes, just for funsies. Just to tell my liver, look, motherfucker, I'm the boss. Until it tells me otherwise. Okay. Here we go. Good news if you're a Boeing worker or if you're a fan of Boeing. Finally, the Boeing workers ratify a contract with over 43% wage hike. After all this business, then we get some Boeing stuff. After 7 weeks on strike, Boeing workers voted Monday to ratify a new contract that includes a 43.65% wage increase over 4 years, a significant improvement over the 25% increase that the aerospace giant offered in September. Members of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAM, District 751 and W24, approved the contract in a 59-41 vote around 2 weeks after rejecting a tentative deal that called for a 35% pay increase over a 4-year period. The contract approved by workers also includes a $12,000 ratification bonus, improvements to retirement and health care benefits, and improved overtime rules. Strikes work, labor journalist Kim Kelly wrote in response to the contract vote. They do indeed. John Holden and Brandon Bryant, respectively the presidents of IAM District 751 and W24, said in a joint statement that working people know what it's like when a company overreaches and takes away more than is fair. Through this strike and the resulting victory, frontline workers at Boeing have done their part to begin rebalancing the scales in favor of the middle class, and in doing so, we hope to inspire other workers in our industry and beyond to continue standing up for justice at work, said Holden and Bryant. Through this victory and the strike that made it possible, IAM members have taken a stand for respect and fair wages in the workplace. IAM's International President Brian Bryant, why would you do that to your kid? Called the contract a new standard in the aerospace industry, one that sends a clear statement that aerospace jobs must be middle-class careers in which workers can thrive. So there you go. From Boeing, now they can get back to building shitty planes. So we finally get to our Israel block. This usually kind of leads the show every day, but, with the whole election thing, you got to get that shit out of the way. And so let's talk about Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu firing his defense minister. What kind of drama llama is going on there? So look at that face, just like, right? They just found out they slept with the same woman, and turns out it wasn't a woman. It was actually a goat in the middle of the field. Benjamin Netanyahu's fired his defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and appointed Israel Katz to succeed him, triggering protests across the country. In a surprise announcement yesterday, Netanyahu said he had lost confidence in Gallant over the management of Israel's wars in Gaza and Lebanon. Over the past few months, that trust has eroded. In light of this, I decided today to end the term of the defense minister, the roly-poly fat piece of shit said in a statement issued by his office. The statement added that the differences between Netanyahu and Gallant grew wider and became known by the public in an unusual manner, and worse, became known to our enemies who took pleasure in them and derived substantial benefit from them. Shortly afterwards, Gallant said in a post on the tweeters that working to ensure Israel's security would always remain the mission of his life. Netanyahu appointed Foreign Minister Israel Katz to succeed Gallant as defense minister, while Gideon Sa'ar became the new foreign minister. Right? But there were those protests. Thousands blocked Tel Aviv highway in protest of Gallant's dismissal. A lot of them, too. They like that guy. In a massive spontaneous demonstration sparked by the ouster of Israeli Security Minister Yoav Gallant by shithead, thousands of protesters blocked Tel Aviv's Ayalon Highway, Israel's primary traffic route, bringing traffic to a standstill in both directions. The protests erupted late last night, with demonstrators starting bonfires and constructing makeshift barricades from uprooted road signs and abandoned construction materials. The swift and unplanned nature of the protests left police with limited resources on site, as they were unable to block the highway entrances with trucks, a common tactic for the regular Saturday night protests. The crowd was estimated to exceed 2,000 people, well above the Israeli occupation forces' restrictions on public gatherings in Tel Aviv. So they said, Gallant, we'll miss you, buddy, so we're going to fuck up some shit before you leave. But there's some other fuckery going on as well. Israel probes security protocol tampering in Netanyahu's office amid Gaza war. Israeli authorities are investigating allegations of tampered security protocols involving discussions in the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The media reported yesterday, investigation, led by the Lahav 433 unit, a police division focused on serious crimes, as opposed to Lahav 69, which is just focused on ass-to-mouth crimes, adds another layer to the controversy surrounding recent leaks of sensitive information, according to the Daily Israel Hayam. The probe focuses on events from the early days of the Gaza war, with allegations that official protocols were falsified within the Prime Minister's office. Judge Menahem Mizrahi from the Rishon LeZion District Court authorized the release of this information, confirming that Lahav 433 is conducting a criminal investigation related to incidents that began with the start of the Gaza war last year. Channel 12 reported that a gag order was placed on the case in June, classifying it as sensitive on security and public interest grounds, which limits the information that can be disclosed. Concerns regarding a possible alteration of security protocols in Netanyahu's office were raised 4 months ago by newspaper Yedioth Ahronoth, which cited former senior officials who suggested that records of discussions held during the war may have been changed. The newspaper reported that Avi Gil, Netanyahu's former military secretary, recently sent a letter to Attorney General Gali Baharav Miara addressing these concerns. This letter followed claims from security officials that discrepancies existed between records of security discussions and the actual conversations in Netanyahu's office since the war began. This probe coincides with an ongoing investigation by the Israeli security agency, the Shin Bet, into the leak of classified documents, which has recently shaken Netanyahu's office. Netanyahu's security affairs spokesperson Eli Feldstein has emerged as a primary suspect. We told you about that on Monday. How they detained 5 individuals in connection with the case, yada, yada, yada. So yay, Trump, right? But it's still going to be the same old over there. As we get back to the murder, Israeli strike on Lebanon kills at least 15 people. The Lebanese Health Ministry has said that an Israeli strike on the town of Barja in the Mount Lebanon governorate has killed at least 15 people. Rescue and rubble removal operations are still ongoing. Rescue and rubble removal. Try saying that 10 times fast. It said on the tweeters yesterday, the health ministry said 1 person was killed and 20 others were wounded following another Israeli strike on the coastal town of Gia. south of Beirut. A security source said the raid targeted an apartment used by Hezbollah in Gia. Of course, because it had to be Hezbollah. The strike destroyed the top floor of a 4-story complex. The Lebanese official national news agency said Israeli raids also hit southern Lebanon and the eastern Bekaa Valley on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Syria's official Sana news agency said an Israeli strike hit a Syrian town near the border with Lebanon yesterday. An Israeli aggression targeted the industrial zone in Al-Qusayr in Homs province, Sana said. Meanwhile, Hezbollah pounds multiple Israeli targets, including Ben Gurion Airport. Ooh, the airport. Hezbollah says it has launched fresh strikes against Israeli targets inside the occupied Palestinian territories. On Wednesday, that would be today, the Lebanese resistance movement announced it had launched a salvo of missiles at the Zrizafim military base near the Ben Gurion International Airport south of Tel Aviv. A rocket fired from Lebanon also fell inside the airport. The Israeli army confirmed that 10 rockets were fired from Lebanon towards central and northern occupied territories. Hezbollah also targeted a military installation in the Matula settlement with a guided rocket. The direct hit resulted in deaths and injuries among soldiers who had been fortified inside the compound. Casualties were also reported as the resistance fighters also struck a Merkava tank, which caught fire and was completely destroyed during the operation in the same area. Hezbollah fighters also launched a salvo of rockets at a gathering of Israeli soldiers in Sasa, Kafar, Sold, and Kiryat Shmona settlements. Moreover, the Lebanese resistance group announced targeting the regime's Ma'al Golani barracks and Rawiya base in occupied Golan Heights and an explosives factory in Hadera, south of Haifa. Hezbollah has pledged to continue its retaliatory operations until Israel ceases its aggression on Lebanon and Gaza. Hezbollah has turned Haifa into a ghost town. So you're going to do that to us? We're going to do it to you, it says. The Israeli-controlled port city of Haifa, once a major business and tourism center for the regime, has been turned into a ghost town amid repeated missile and drone attacks by the Lebanese resistance movement, Hezbollah. I always want to say Hezbollah, but then I want to say Hasbro, like the toy company, but that's not it. Reports published in the Israeli media yesterday suggested that Haifa was no longer a bustling city and a tourist hotspot in the north of the Israeli-occupied territories, but rather a city of missiles and drones. Local officials described the situation in Haifa as disappointing as they pointed to a sharp rise in hotel closures in the Mediterranean port, which has prompted owners of businesses to start migrating out of Israel. We've already told you about the horrible economy that's going on in Israel. Tourism is down. A lot of their manufacturing is down, and they're on the verge of a civil war. So, but yeah, let's go after Hamas, right? For weeks, the Israeli military has been calling on people in Haifa to remain indoors and not venture out unnecessarily. It comes amid a growing number of attacks by Hezbollah on Haifa. The group fired some 100 rockets from southern Lebanon at Haifa Bay, an area that hosts major industrial units and businesses. The Israeli government has repeatedly claimed that it has been protecting Haifa from Hezbollah's missile and drone attacks through the use of its modern air defense systems. Well, the United States, that is. Because that Iron Dome is shit. However, tourist arrivals in Haifa have completely stopped while only a limited number of foreign ships continue to dock at the port to load and unload cargo. Israel's Aaron Institute for Economic Policy has estimated that the damage inflicted on the tourism industries based in northern occupied territories amounts to $3.5 billion. And for a small country like that, that's a big chunk of change. The figure also includes damage seen in Galilee, a region that used to receive some 1.5 million tourists each year before the cross-border confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah began in October last year. So it is back and forth. You're seeing a lot of Israel destroying things, and you're seeing a lot of Hezbollah destroying things. You're going to continue to see that. And who knows what Trump's going to do to make things more spicy in that regard. Like we said, Israel has its own internal issues to deal with, and that includes the members of their ultra-Orthodox community who said, Fuck your military. Israel issues 7,000 new draft orders for ultra-Orthodox members. And here they are right here. I always like the Orthodox Jews because they always wear the cool hats. And they wear those long-ass coats in the middle of summer, too. No sweat. I'm like, you guys got it going on. I don't know how you do it. Israel's former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, issued 7,000 additional army draft orders Monday for individuals from the country's ultra-Orthodox community historically exempted from mandatory service until a June Supreme Court decision. Gallant approved the Israeli Army's recommendation to issue an additional 7,000 orders for screening and evaluation processes for ultra-Orthodox draft-eligible individuals in the upcoming phase, which is expected to begin in the coming days, the Defense Ministry said in a statement. The order comes after a first round of 3,000 draft orders were sent out in July, sparking protests from the ultra-Orthodox community. Monday's orders come at a time when Israel is struggling to bolster troop numbers as it fights a multi-front war with ground forces deployed in Gaza and in southern Lebanon. The defense minister concluded that the war and the challenges we face underscore the Israeli army's need for additional soldiers. This is a tangible operation need that requires broad national mobilization from all parts of society, the ministry said. In Israel, military service is mandatory for Jewish men for 32 months and for 24 months for Jewish women. The ultra-Orthodox account for 14% of Israel's Jewish population, according to the Israeli Democracy Institute. Now, that's a odd place, representing about 1.3 million people. About 66,000 of those of conscription age are exempted, according to the Army. Under a rule adopted by Israel's creation in 1948, when it applied to only 400 people, the ultra-Orthodox have historically been exempted from military service if they dedicate themselves to the study of sacred Jewish texts. In June, Israel's Supreme Court ordered the draft of yeshiva, seminary students, after deciding the government could not keep up the exemption without an adequate legal framework. Yeah. So the Orthodox are still having to deal with that as well. That's why you say, well, it's like, well, the Jews. And he said, no, you can't say the Jews about everything because there are some Jews who are just not down for this shit. The airlines aren't coming back, at least not right now, not to Israel. 15 international airlines refuse return to Israel without new compensation laws. So 15 international airlines are threatening to halt flights to Israel unless a law mandating compensation for canceled flights is changed, saying that the current security situation due to the wars in Gaza and Lebanon make operations too risky and costly, Haaretz reported yesterday. The airlines involved include Delta Airlines, British Airways, Iberia, EasyJet, and Wizz Air? What? That's not a thing. That Wizz Air, seriously, somebody just threw that in there because they knew I was going to read this shit. They have formally requested amendments to the 2012 Aviation Services Law through an appeal to the Knesset Economic Affairs Committee. The law requires airlines to compensate passengers between 260 and 400 smackers for cancellations made less than 14 days before departure. Since October last year, international carriers have been forced to cancel numerous flights at short notice. Many have chosen to suspend flights for brief or extended periods in response to intermittent rocket, missile, and drone fire from Hamas, Hezbollah, and Yemeni forces. That Triple H, that Triple H, that Triple H, H. Why don't they use that? I would so be using Triple H, unless these factions are afraid of getting sued by a professional wrestler. Triple H. The risks have significantly increased in recent weeks as Iran and Israel have traded tit for tat, giggity, missile and drone attacks. Shirley Katzir, an attorney representing the airline, said her clients face significant financial risks and have little incentive to resume flights to Israel amid the war unless changes to the law are made. Doesn't exist. You do exist. Good to see you, buddy. What's going on? Roughly 30 airlines have suspended service to Israel, including Air France, Lufthansa, and LOT Polish Airlines. with plans to resume flights on various dates in November. American Airlines has suspended flights until September of next year. They said, fuck it, we ain't coming back. While British Airways, Ryanair, Delta Airlines, and EasyJet choose not to resume service until March of next year. What about Wizz Air? Wizz Air? The airline stated that the current aviation security law, including some recent amendments, do not provide an adequate response to the need for dealing with the implications of the current state of emergency on the aviation industry in Israel. Wizz Air. We'll have to look that up after the show. So, they've been, Israel has been so kind as to not allow aid or food or anything like that into Gaza because they're such kind people. Well, some young Jordanians have said, enough of that, mister. Young Jordanians begin hunger strike to pressure Israel to allow aid into northern Gaza. The pressure's mounting on Israel. I mean, seriously, I don't understand how they can keep this up. Seriously. Choosy is trying to sell Jesuit condoms. Is that even a thing? A group of young Jordanians has begun a hunger strike to highlight the Israeli blockade of the northern Gaza Strip and to show solidarity with Palestinians. Anadolu agency reports, frustrated by the lack of international action to break the blockade, the young Jordanians joined the Hunger Strikers for Gaza campaign, which began in early November in multiple countries. During the campaign's first 5 days, which spread widely on social media, 60 young Jordanians participated despite health risks, hoping to help end the blockade. Rend Nemus, one of the hunger strikers, told Anadolu that on the first day of the campaign, people from Jordan, Brazil, Egypt, and Algeria participated. She added that they expected more participants from the U.S. by November 8th. Nemus said the idea for a hunger strike in Jordan originated with a protest in front of the Israeli embassy in Amman. Currently, 60 people have officially joined the action in Jordan, she said, adding, we've seen more interest than we expected from different sectors of society. For participation in the hunger strike, Nemus explained that those wishing to join must first register on the Instagram page Hunger Strikers for Gaza. That's Hunger Strikers for Gaza on the IG page, by adding their names to the group and taking an oath. The 60 people currently participating have followed the registration process, but an additional 40 others have started the hunger strike without completing the formal procedure. The goal is to allow 500 aid trucks into northern Gaza. Nemus shared that her life has been deeply affected by the daily images of death and destruction in Gaza, adding, a hunger strike is a well-known and historically effective method used to bring attention to an issue. Yes, Nemus, but also that was at a time when people were a little bit more human than they are now. Nowadays, they're not quite as human as they should be. International law requires countries to monitor the health of hunger strikers, listen to their demands, and, if possible, fulfill them, she stressed. We will continue the hunger strike until 500 aid trucks are allowed to enter northern Gaza, particularly into Jabalia, Beit Hanun, and Beit Lahia, she pledged. Another hunger striker, Mohammed Abde, told Anadolu that they would continue their hunger strike until their demands were met. While the Jordanian government has done its best so far, it could do more, he said, expressing confidence in his government to meet their requests. Aw, your confidence in your government? That is so precious. Mohammed al-Tabasi, who was also on a hunger strike, said while their protest will not bring back those who have died in Gaza or rebuild the enclave, it may help facilitate aid entry. We have border crossings between us and the West Bank. Just as goods are allowed into Israel, we want aid to be allowed into Gaza as well. He stressed, adding, the hunger strike is a form of pressure. We set a 100-day deadline to meet our demands. If we are unsuccessful, we will try another approach. He also noted that there are only drinking water. He also noted that they are only drinking water, taking salt, and now experiencing general fatigue, dizziness, and headaches, with symptoms intensifying as the strike continues. On Monday, the Gaza government media office reported that the Israeli military has been using starvation and dehydration as weapons against civilians. The Israeli army has prevented 3,800 aid trucks from entering northern Gaza, leaving more than 400,000 people, including 100,000 children, without food, it added. Choosy, you and your fucking manifestos, I swear to God. I love him. So speaking of Jordan, a French retail giant is saying adios as due to the Israeli boycott. Boycotts work, folks. The Carrefour chain of retail stores announced the closure of all its locations in Jordan amid a boycott campaign targeting U.S. and European companies supporting Israel in its genocide of Palestinians in Gaza and war on Lebanon. In an official statement on its Facebook page, Carrefour Jordan confirmed that it will halt all its operations in the kingdom and apologize for any inconvenience this decision may cause. Carrefour's West Asian franchisee, the Emirates-based Majid Al Futtaim Group, says it is replacing the French retailer in Jordan with a new brand, Hypermax, which will focus on locally sourced products. Okay. Futtaim described Hypermax as a brand new Arab grocery chain, which would be rolled out across all 34 of its stores in Jordan. In announcing the change, Futtaim said it regularly reviews and assesses its businesses to ensure it remains agile in adapting to evolving market dynamics. However, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement, BDS, took credit for the decision, describing it as a victory for the Jordanian people over supporters of terrorism. BDS stressed in a statement on its website that the Carrefour brand was forced to leave the Jordanian market, expelled and isolated, while adding that the work will not end and that the time has come to intensify boycott campaigns to isolate and defeat the Zionist project. Let us escalate our boycott of Carrefour everywhere to compel it to respect our people's rights and to stop complicity in violating them, the statement added. In May of last year, Carrefour Group announced it had opened around 50 stores in Israel under the franchise partnership that it entered into in March 2020 with the Israeli group Electra Consumer Products and its subsidiary, Yenot Bitan. I think I just conjured something. Did I speak an incantation? Australia is going to be Australia, folks. It is, CJ. Jordan is a complete Western puppet. So is Australia. Australia defies UN in defense trade with Israel. Australia is yet to give effect to urgings of the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, to suspend all military trade with Israel until a review is completed of the exports. In its October 18th position paper, the United Nations Independent International Commission of Inquiry, that's a lot of I's, on the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem and Israel, stipulated that compliance with the International Court of Justice findings requires that any member state, which includes Australia, quote, shall cease its transfer or trade until the state is satisfied that the goods and technology subject to the transfer or trade are not contributing to maintaining the unlawful occupation or to the commission of war crimes or genocide, unquote. The central statement by the Australian government has been by Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister Penny Wong, when she stated in November last year, I am advised that Australia has not supplied weapons to Israel since the Hamas-Israel conflict began, and I am advised that that has been the case for at least the last 5 years. The statement brought about howls of derision from politicians, researchers, and independent journalists that the statement was untrue. The minister was playing a semantic trick, only denying that complete weapons were exported. She would have known that weapons components, weapons parts, physical items of material, know-how, and intelligence were still being provided to Israel as they continued their bloodletting. Spectacularly, it was the Defense Department that overturned the minister's subterfuge. In October, the Department of Defense exposed the minister's deception when it confirmed that Australia had issued about 247 defense export permits that relate to Israel since 2019, of which about 66 remained active, according to a senior defense advisor. It is in declassified Australia that the details of the multi-millions of dollars of spare parts being provided to the Israeli F-35 fighter bombers and the intelligence going from Pine Gap to the Israeli Defense Force has been precisely reported. The United Nations itself also demolishes Minister Wong's deceiving words. It defines the defense trade with Israel as including, quote, all transfer and trade agreements with Israel including but not limited to equipment, weapons, munitions, parts, components, dual-use items, and technology. Australia's engagement with the Israeli military and intelligence does go further. Yeah, so you can read the whole article there. But Australia's just being a cunt, as usual. Being a cunt. And, they're going to take all this nuclear waste, too. I'm sure there are people really going to appreciate that. Peace, Dove. Good to see ya. Yes, Israel, shut it down. Shut it the fuck down. That is a bad business. So you guys remember the aid pier in Gaza, right? That was just like this floating piece of shit out there that kind of, it wasn't even half-assed. It was like an eighth of an ass of a fuck up. So a soldier's dead because of it. U.S. soldier injured on Gaza aid pier dies. That's the gentleman right there. An American soldier who had been seriously injured during an aborted and widely criticized U.S. mission to install an aid pier in Gaza died last week, a military official has told CNN. Sergeant Quandarius Devon Stanley was wounded on May 27th when reportedly delivering to the beleaguered Gaza Strip amid the ongoing disproportionate Israeli offensive in the Palestinian enclave. The cause of death has not been made public, though the U.S. military previously referred to a non-combat incident. 23 years old. The 23-year-old had initially been placed in an Israeli hospital, was later flown to the U.S. for treatment at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas. An unnamed defense official told CNN on Monday that Stanley, who was a native of Columbia, South Carolina, died on Halloween. Shortly before his passing, he had been medically retired by his unit, the 7th Transportation Brigade Expeditionary, because it was clear that he could not continue military service with his injuries, the official added. The commander of the 7th TBX, that Transportation Brigade Expeditionary, Colonel John Eddie Gray, confirmed Stanley's passing to the broadcaster. He described the sergeant as an instrumental and well-respected first-line leader in the unit, especially during the mission to provide humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. We will continue to provide support to his family during this difficult time. Our entire unit mourns alongside his family. And that whole thing, that pier was announced by Biden during his State in the Union address back in March. It was a $230 million floating structure. However, the pier remained operational for only 20 days. It was supposed to be there for 3 months. Operational for only 20 days, was decommissioned in July because of they built it in water and rough areas of the sea that kind of shit doesn't work. Only a third of the intended cargo had been supplied to Gaza during that period. So yeah, waste of time, waste of money. Meanwhile, billions go to Nazis and baby burners. That's where we're at. But yay, Trump, right? Good job, Trump. England has had its troubles with its cops, right? I think they're Mossad or IDF trained like American cops are too. But even for the UK, this is a big number. Record 600 police officers were fired or sacked, as they say, for misconduct in England and Wales. Oh, you bad, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they're coming for you? A record number of police officers have been sacked in England and Wales amid efforts to restore public faith in policing following a series of scandals. A record 593 police officers were fired and banned from returning to the job in the year to March 31st. Figures released by the College of Policing showed yesterday. The figures, which cover 43 police forces in England and Wales, marked a more than 50% rise from the previous year. The dismissals include 74 officers who were sacked for sexual offenses and misconduct, and 18 who were fired for possessing child exploitation material. Woohoo! The most common causes for dismissal were dishonesty and discriminatory behavior. What, dishonest, racist cop? What, I thought that came in the handbook. Accounting for 125 and 71 cases, respectively. The rise in sackings comes as police chiefs in the United Kingdom try to regain public trust in the wake of the 2021 abduction and murder of 33-year-old marketing executive Sarah Everard by Wayne Cousins, a serving officer in London's Metropolitan Police. Last year, another Metropolitan Police officer, David Carrick, was sentenced to a minimum of 30 years in prison for committing dozens of rapes and sexual offenses against 12 women. Assistant Chief Constable Tom Harding, the Director of Operational Standards at the College of Policing, there's a College of Policing, said the conduct of the dismissed officers was hugely disappointing. However, these figures show that we have effective, robust procedures in place to identify and deal with these officers swiftly and to prevent them from holding future roles within the police. Harding said these figures show that there is nowhere to hide for people who fail to meet the high standards set across our police forces. Well, why didn't you catch that shit when you're hiring the motherfuckers? Why do you wait till they become cops and they're like, oh, yeah, let's check them out? Oh, that's why Daddy drinks heavily sometimes. So Germany's government is not doing too good. You know, our friends over there in Germany. It's a sad state of affairs for these guys. Germany's government coalition facing threat of collapse. That's Olaf Scholz. Nein! German Chancellor Olaf Scholz voiced optimism on Tuesday that the government coalition will be able to resolve its strong disagreement over economic policies. Nein! Scholz explained that when it comes to the future work of the government, it's about commitment to the country, not ideology, and that negotiations on the budget, economy, labor, industry, and other key issues must be focused on achieving shared progress. During a joint press conference with Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, Scholz voiced that one thing is clear, that will be possible. He further noted that all parties in the ruling coalition, his Social Democratic Party, the Greens, and the Free Democratic Party must work together to establish an agreement which will take a lot of intense discussions. Last week, German media leaked a paper created by Finance Minister and FDP leader Christian Lindner, which included a list of economic recovery recommendations. These efforts, however, contradict the SPD and Greens agendas, putting the government on the verge of collapse. According to Bild, Scholz called an emergency SPD conference late Sunday to establish the party's approach for impeding negotiations with coalition partners. Where are we? We have a lot of weird stories today. So, relations between Russia and Iran are getting pretty cozy, right? You know, they went out to dinner and made a little small talk at first, but, started talking more, important things. And, now there could be a second date. Who knows? Russian rocket takes Iranian satellites into orbit as ties grow closer. There's the rocket right there. It's a Soyuz 2.1B rocket. A Russian rocket carrying a payload of satellites in orbit, including 2 from Iran, blasted off successfully. Russia's Roscosmos Space Agency said in a move seen as reflecting the growing cooperation between Moscow and Tehran. The spacecraft lifted off as scheduled from the Vostochny Cosmodrome. I played the Cosmodrome back when I was with Crocus. Launch pad is far eastern Russia and put its payload into a designated orbit 9 minutes after the launch yesterday. Roscosmos said that 2 Russian Ionosphere M satellites designed to monitor the space weather around Earth and 53 small satellites, including 2 from Iran, were placed into orbit successfully. Among the 53 small satellites, the 2 Iranian satellites were identified as the Kosar, a high-resolution imaging satellite, and Hadhad, a small communication satellite. A Russian-Chinese student satellite, Druzhba Aturk, was also placed into orbit. The Iranian satellites are the first launched on behalf of the country's private sector, with the Kosar manufactured by the Ahmed Faza company, which began designing the satellite in 2019. Iran's official IRNA news agency reported the Kosar had an expected lifespan of 3 years, and the Hadhad should operate for 4 years, according to the IRNA. That's right, going to space, baby. That's why we have Space Force. You didn't know that? So if you ever been to Japan and you ever seen the iconic Mount Fuji and you see like that, or if you remember, if you're an old school person like me and you remember Fujifilm, you'll know that Mount Fuji's supposed to have some snow on it. Well, what the fuck happened? Who sold it? The street value of this mountain is 0 now. Mount Fuji is still without its iconic snow cap for the first time in 130 years. Hot, hot. I know, Hot Hot sounds like some sort of character from Game of Thrones, too. Japan's iconic Mount Fuji, known for its snow cap forming around this time of year, is still snowless in November for the first time in 130 years, presumably because of the unusually warm temperatures in the past few weeks. The lack of snow on Mount Fuji, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, as of yesterday, breaks the previous record set on October 26th, 2016, meteorological officials said. Usually the 3,776 meter, nearly 12,300 foot high mountain has sprinkles of snow falling on its summit starting October 2nd, about a month after the summertime hiking season there ends. Last year, snow fell on the mountain on October 5th, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency, or JMA. The snowless Mount Fuji has captured attention on social media. People posted photos showing the bare mountain, some expressing surprise and others concerned over climate change. The JMA's Kofu Local Meteorological Office, which keeps weather data in central Japan and was the agency that announced the first snowfall on Mount Fuji in 1894, has cited October's surprisingly summery weather as the reason. The average October temperature is -2 Celsius. That's about 28.4 degrees Fahrenheit at the summit. But this year, it was 1.6 Celsius, 34.9 degrees Fahrenheit, a record high since 1932. Japan this year also had an unusually hot summer and warm autumn. Those Japan hot summers, you gotta watch out for them. A symbol of Japan, the mountain called Fujisan used to be a place of pilgrimage. The mountain, with its snowy top and near symmetrical slopes, have been the subject of numerous forms of art, including Japanese ukiyo artist Katsushika Hokusai's 36 views of Mount Fuji. Today it attracts hikers who climb to the summit to see the sunrise, but tons of trash left behind and overcrowding have triggered concern and calls for environmental protection and measures to control the over-tourism. So there you go. Got some Africa news for you here if you're down for that. Kenya and China hold bilateral talks in Nairobi as Kenya requests China's support to join BRICS. They get more people into BRICS. Top Chinese official Li Ji arrived in the Kenyan capital for bilateral talks on Monday. He was welcomed by officials, including William Ruto, at Nairobi State House. During talks, William Ruto pledged to strengthen ties between the two nations. Kenya, I want to assure you, is committed to promoting this partnership across Africa and also upholding the One China policy, Ruto said. With their strategic partnership, the two nations are collaborating on development projects in the country. Ruto has also asked for China's backing for Kenya's aim to join the BRICS group of emerging national economies. Currently, BRICS members make up around 28% of the global economy. The group was founded in 2006. At that time, its members were Brazil, Russia, India, and China, so it was just BRIC, single BRIC. Then South Africa became a member in 2010, became BRICS, and then other countries, Egypt, Ethiopia, joined at the start of the year. So Kenya looking to get into the BRICS mix, as it were. Wait, that's not right. So we told you the other day about some of these protesters in Nigeria, and a lot of them were minors, and these were all people that were sentenced to death. Well, some good news on that front. The Nigeria court frees 119 protesters after the government drops charges. A Nigerian court freed 119 people, including minors, on Tuesday after the authorities dropped charges against them arising from deadly protests in August against economic hardship. The accused had faced charges including treason and inciting a military coup and had been arraigned in batches of 76 and 43 last Friday. One of the charges carried the death penalty. President Bola Tinubu ordered the release of all minors detained during and anti-government protests in August and dropped the charges against them. The case has been struck out, and the 119 protesters have been released. Deji Adeyanju, counsel to the protesters, told Reuters, now we're asking for their rehabilitation and compensation by their various state governments. The country's attorney general took over the case from the police and dropped the charges after bringing forward the matter due to be heard in January. Yeah, they were going to put little kids to death over complaining. This story, wow, this is okay. This is the last story in our news block, but it's a doozy. You know all this stuff with Diddy in the news and the 1,000 bottles of lube or whatever shit. That's all well and good, but this is some crazy shit. Equatorial Guinea official arrested over 400 sex tapes with president's sister, high-profile women. Look at this, player. Equatorial Guinea's Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency, Baltasar Ngonga, has been arrested following allegations that he recorded more than 400 explicit videos featuring the wives of prominent public figures in the country. The scandal emerged during a separate investigation into fraud allegations against Ngonga, when authorities uncovered a trove of CDs containing explicit material during searches of his home and office. Among the people implicated in the recordings are high-ranking official spouses, including the wife of the Director General of Police, close family members, and relatives of senior government figures, including the sister of President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo. I ain't saying that name again. I'm calling him T-O-N-M. Tunham, and spouses of multiple government ministers. The videos reportedly feature encounters in various locations, including Ngonga's office, sometimes with the national flag visible in the background. Yes, son! You get that nationalist pussy, son? The recordings were reportedly consensual, but have since been leaked online, leading to widespread public outrage and intense scrutiny from local media. Reports by Ahora EG described the revelations as unprecedented in the country's history, exposing what it called flagrant violations of ethical standards by a senior public official. 400 tapes, god damn! Known locally by the nickname Bello, Ngonga's position has now become a focal point of national controversy, with allegations spanning multiple high-profile individuals. Equatorial Guinea's Attorney General Zhang Nguema commented on the scandal, clarifying that consensual relations without coercion are not criminal under current laws. However, he raised concerns over public health risks and emphasized the importance of a supportive environment for reporting any instances of non-consensual encounters or abuse. The Attorney General also noted the potential risk of sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, arising from Ngonga's alleged activities, adding urgencies to the government's response. Dude may have crabs. Following the scandal, the government swiftly enacted a suspension of officials involved in any sexual conduct within ministry offices as part of a broader zero-tolerance stance on behavior that compromises public trust. Vice President, that guy, condemned the actions in a statement on the tweeters, underscoring that ethics and respect are fundamental in our administration and reaffirming the nation's commitment to enforcing public service integrity. The case has highlighted the government's dedication to maintaining a professional and ethical standard across its institutions. Officials have stated that they aim to prevent future breaches of public trust and reinforce a respectful workplace culture. Until they get caught again, because that's how it works. Who you got, Ngonga? Side effects may include shame and having to tell your husband you're a whore. Wait, what? Okay. All right. So, like we said, Germany is kind of hot or cold when it comes to doing the right thing, at least recently, anyway. So, and now they're taking care of their buddies in Israel because, We love, fascists got a fash, I guess. Is that the thing?
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same things are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members are using those platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So a new German resolution seeks to deprive Israel critics of public money. Public money. Here we go. Germany's ruling coalition government, which is crumbling, has finally agreed on a new anti-Semitism resolution after months of debate amongst German politicians and fears that it will silence critics of Israel. The final draft of the resolution, titled "Never Again is Now: Protecting, Preserving, and Strengthening Jewish Life in Germany," was agreed upon last Friday by the coalition consisting of the Social Democratic Party, the Green Party, and the Liberal Free Democratic Party, as well as the oppositional Christian Democratic Union. The resolution will be introduced to Parliament on November 9th, when a vote will take place on its ratification. Its main features are the prioritization of the controversial International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, definition of anti-Semitism, and the withholding of state funds for artistic and scientific endeavors from those who take part in boycotts. I said Boy Scouts. Boycotts of Israel. So the withholding of state funds for artistic and scientific endeavors from those who take part in boycotts of Israel. Since the resolution was drafted by members of the coalition and the opposition together, is very likely to receive a majority of the votes and so be implemented. So they're going to say, if you criticize Israel, you sons of bitches, no money for you. This is one son of a bitch I am not going to miss at all, and it's this fucking cartoon character from hell, Matt Miller. So, you guys got jokes, apparently. State Department spokes creep cracks joke about Israel's starvation blockade on Gaza. State Department spokesman and Human Centipede cast member Matt Miller made a joke and laughed when pressed about Israel failing to meet U.S. requests to allow more aid into Gaza as it's imposing a starvation blockade on the northern part of the Strip. The Biden administration sent a letter to Israeli officials on October 14th that gave them 30 days to allow more aid deliveries into Gaza, a move dismissed by former State Department official as a public relations stunt since the deadline falls after the presidential election. Since the letter was sent, the situation for Palestinians has only gotten worse. In October marked a record low in the number of aid trucks entering Gaza. The U.S. letter said Israel should allow 350 aid trucks into Gaza per day, and Israel hasn't gotten remotely close to that. When asked about the aid levels, Miller acknowledged Israel has failed to meet U.S. requests so far, but said there was still time until the 30-day deadline and that the U.S. wouldn't give a grade to Israel just yet. It's not the end of the semester. You don't hand out grades in the middle, he said while laughing. Oh my God. Look, I'm sorry. You got to see it too.
They've failed to implement all of the things that we recommend in that letter. Now, that said, we are not at the end of the 30-day period,
okay,
and we
so
are in
conversation. Not ready to give them
it's not the end. It's not the end of the semester. You don't hand out grades in the middle.
I suspect that the levity is a little bit inappropriate.
No,
but look, you guys say they haven't done enough, so it's a fail.
We are not at the end of where we are able to make an assessment. But I can tell you, the situation has not been good enough for some time, and the situation has not improved sufficiently in the 21, 22 days, whatever it is, since we sent that letter.
Okay.
There is still a week or so to go until we reach the end of the period, but there is much more that we need to see them do.
Ugh. Be so glad to see that creature gone. But they're just going to replace him with some sort of Republican trash bag. So at least it was a face you got used to, and now you'll have to get used to more faces. So, they were trying. They were trying all this bullshit with the fake videos and stuff during the election, but apparently that didn't work. So the FBI was warning against 2 fake videos as officials combat election disinformation. The FBI yesterday warned Americans about 2 new fake videos falsely citing terror threats and voter fraud, the latest in a string of disinformation that officials expect will intensify as voters head to the polls. Well, yeah. One fabricated video purporting to be from the federal law enforcement agency falsely cited a high terror threat and urged Americans to vote remotely, while another video includes a fake press release alleging to be from the agency and alleging rigged voting among inmates in 5 prisons. Both are not authentic, the FBI said in a statement. Attempts to deceive the public with false content about FBI threat assessments and activities aim to undermine our democratic process and erode trust in the electoral system. Plus, we have all these people on our radar that we got to watch out before they actually do some shit, and we let them do it. Federal, state, and local officials have been warning Americans about attempts to undermine the election with wrong information, have urged U.S. voters to seek out credible information from reliable sources, a.k.a. us. Not the mainstream media. U.S. intelligence agencies have also said this year's contest faced an unprecedented disinformation campaign from foreign adversaries, and that Russia, and Iran too, and others aimed to fan divisive narratives amid the election, an accusation Russia has denied. Monday, the U.S. intelligence agency said they expected overseas influence operations to intensify through Election Day and in the coming weeks, particularly in the 7 key battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Still, U.S. Cybersecurity Agency Director Jen Easterly has said her department has not seen evidence of any activity that could directly impact the outcome of the election, despite the surge in disinformation. What, they didn't have the Bernie bro memes? They weren't doing that? We are Ronin. Bum, 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 bum. Good to see you, brother. U.S. intelligence agencies last week blamed Russia for a false video purporting to show a Haitian immigrant claiming to have voted multiple times in the U.S. state of Georgia while eating a pet, apparently. Over the weekend, the FBI warned about several other fake videos as well. Yes, so none of that happened. People are a little bit more informed nowadays. They're either in the cults or they're informed outside of the cults. Right? There is no, gee, I wonder if something could sway me in a vote. No, it's like you either know who you're going to vote for or you're not voting. That's pretty much it. So like one of these other things, the hoax bomb threats linked to Russia target polling places in battleground states. This was another bullshit one. The bomb threats, many of which appeared to originate from Russian email domains, were directed on Tuesday at polling locations in 5 states: Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, as Election Day voting was underway. None of these threats have been determined to be credible, adding that the election integrity was among the Bureau's highest priorities. At least 2 polling sites targeted by the hoax bomb threats in Georgia were briefly evacuated. One in Fulton County, or both in Fulton County, reopened after about 30 minutes, and the county was seeking a court order to extend the location's voting hours past the statewide 7 p.m. deadline. So, of course, Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, blamed Russian interference for the Election Day bomb hoaxes. They're up to mischief, it seems. They're up to mischief. You know, when somebody says mischief, you know they're already full of shit. They don't want us to have a smooth, fair, and accurate election. And if they can get us to fight among ourselves, they can count that as a victory. It's like, dude, we were already doing that. We didn't need Russia to help us with that. The Russian embassy in Washington said insinuations about Russian interference were malicious slander. I'd say it was delicious slander. We would like to emphasize that Russia has not interfered, does not interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, including the United States. That's what the United States does. The embassy said in a statement, as President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly stressed, we respect the will of the American people. Yeah, so all these shenanigans, mischief. The fuck's writing mischief in 2024 that's not like writing, some sort of children's book or something. Are you up to mischief? Yes, Mummy, I am up to mischief. Oh, it was you, John? How dare you? And that shall be your undoing. Or probably not. What else did we got here? That's okay. Last of our things here. So Meta was fined over privacy violations in South Korea. Shocking, I know. Now they got to pay some cash. South Korea has slapped social media giant Meta with a multi-million-dollar fine after an investigation by the country's privacy watchdog revealed the company had collected sensitive user data and shared it with thousands of advertisers. The country's Personal Information Protection Commission, the PIPC, as I call it, said in a statement on Tuesday that the U.S. company had obtained information from about 980,000 South Korean Facebook users on issues such as their religion, political views, and sexuality, while having failed to seek their agreement. According to the statement, Meta analyzed the pages that Facebook users liked or the advertisements they clicked on. The company then categorized ads to identify users interested in topics such as specific religions, same-sex and transgender issues, as well as information related to North Korean escapees. The sensitive information was later provided for use by approximately 4,000 advertisers. Under South Korean privacy laws, companies are prohibited from processing or using any sensitive data related to personal beliefs, political views, or sexual behavior without the explicit consent of Major League Baseball, of the person involved. While Meta collected this sensitive information and used it for individualized services, they made only vague mentions of this use in their data policy and did not obtain specific consent, the statement said. The commission also said that Meta had unfairly declined a request by users to access personal information, failed to prevent data leaks affecting about 10 South Koreans. The company has been ordered to pay 21.62 billion won, that's South Korean money, or 15.67 American million in fines. The commission said it will continue to monitor whether Meta is complying with its corrective order. It's not the first instance of the U.S. company being held accountable for data breaches. In September, European regulators slapped Meta with a $100 million penalty for inadvertently storing some users' passwords without protection or encryption. Earlier in June, Nigeria ordered the tech giant to pay $220 million for breaching local data protection and privacy laws. Turkey has also fined the company 1.2 billion lira, that's 35 million American, after an investigation into data sharing on its Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp platforms. Yeah, money, money, money. So and that's all they do. They get the little, because like those millions, Facebook's got that money. You're like, how do they have that money? They got that fucking money. Come on, they do. I want to see some jail time. Let's ratchet it up a little bit. Let's do some jail time. So that was your propaganda watch for this Wednesday, the day after election day. So, but always stay frosty for that kind of shit, because now that Trump's won and you're gonna hear all these people, you're probably gonna get the montage of the pussy hat wearing people who go, ah! You'll hear that again, owning the libs or whatever they're calling it. I just enjoy that. Like I said, tonight we're going to have like a little decompression session for the election, and maybe talk about some extraneous things outside of the election that actually affect us. Whereas picking your favorites, your fan fiction favorite to win, it really doesn't matter. For those of you who ever watched the Secret Show with yours truly, I have a particular fondness for chickens, right? Not in a sexual way. Don't make it creepy. But I do like chickens, right? And we featured like the Chicken City on the Secret Show. It's always a fun time. Well, now it turns out the Philippines have heard me and said, you know what? We got something for you, bud. We got something you really, really like. Oh, they just called Michigan for Trump? Okay, there you go. So the Philippines, there's a resort in the Philippines that features the world's largest chicken-shaped building. Jesus Christ! I haven't seen a cock that big since I took a shower this morning. That's a big-ass chicken, yo. I don't know if I'd go to that place. I think I'd be just scared as hell. The Lord chicken just coming down and whooping my ass. So there's the chicken. A hotel in the Philippines that stands 114 feet 7 inches tall was awarded a Guinness World Record for the largest building in the shape of a chicken. The Chicken Dome live. 2 go in, 1 comes out. 1 comes out an egg. Campo Estoan Highland Resort, located in Negros Occidental, unveiled its new rooster-shaped building, which features 15 air-conditioned hotel rooms. Ricardo Cano Guapotan said he wanted the resort's new building to be an attention grabber. He said, I have a vision to make something with a wow factor that can really leave a footprint of admiration to the public, he told Guinness World Records. He said the building's rooster shape is a tribute to the local culture. Negros Occidental has a game fowl industry that employs millions of people in the Philippines. If you look at a rooster, it looks calm and commanding, imposing and strong, which reflects the attitude of our people. Yeah, till you start then you start torturing it for cockfights, and then what do you got? Cockfight. Look how big that thing. 110. That's a 110-foot cock, y'all. That is your mother clucker indeed. Zoom in to see if he's eating people. I don't know if can we do that? Won't let me do it. This is as far in as we can go. It's his thing is red, so I don't. That might be a trail of blood. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but why wait for the secret show when we could talk about big ass cocks right here and now? It's a fight ring. And they had to use the Large Hadron Collider as a cock ring. I see the cock ring because it goes around in a circle. Yeah. So that's the Philippines. You're ever in the Philippines, make sure you check out the big cock. Okay. Yeah. So also, like we said, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have ExtraBulla Live, just some chit chat. I think Willie's got his show on tonight too at 8 p.m. So I'm only going to be going like an hour, just talk to the chat. Maybe we can talk a little bit about how all this election stuff doesn't really matter in the grand scheme and the things that we need to be doing, like hitting the streets. And of course, Around the World with D and Friends at 9 p.m. Eastern on the YouTubers. So I'll be flying solo on ExtraBulla Live, and we'll be talking to the chat, having fun, and, just kind of give you an update as to, now that these 3 shows are back in, the Secret Show, ExtraBulla Live, and of course the Mornin Extra, the newbie on the block, the new kid on the block. We'll be telling you more about the future of this channel and, some changes that have been made recently and that sort of thing. So, and how you could be a part of the fun, obviously. So, I appreciate all of you. We had a very good crowd this morning for the most part. People wanting to find out. I think a lot of people knew already that Trump had won, but they wanted to know more of the particulars. But it was really an uneventful night. When you look at it, it was he just crept along and he got the 277 and that was it. That was it. Game over, Marcus, good morning. Hitting the streaks. Are we streaking? Yeah, we saw your epic. So he's up to 292 now. Yep, that's about right. Those are the vote college votes, whatever those are. Yeah, good show last night, Marcus. Hey Vera, good to see you. Vera, look at you sneaking in at the last second. Yeah, so we're gonna do that tonight. I don't know. I may do the show a little. If Willie's gonna do his show as 8, maybe I'll do it a little earlier. Maybe I'll try 7 or something like that Eastern. I don't want to overlap Willie. Me and Willie, we like to keep our programming off each other's doorsteps, as it were. So, because we want you to see all of us and more. Well, not more of me. You don't really need to see more of me. That's probably not good. Okay, it's about that time. It's about that time. It's about that time to leave. So like I said, we'll be on again tonight for Extra Bulla Live. Willie's gonna be on, Dee's gonna be on tonight. Tomorrow's Thursday. I don't really know what's going on Thursday. Maybe there's gonna be some more shenanigans. I saw that, Marcus. I made that for you, and I said, look, there's no pressure. You don't have to use it. I just keep it, keep it on standby. You're feeling froggy and you want to jump with it, go for it. So, who got 1 hour sleep? 1 hour sleep. Damn, John. But us old people, we don't need that much sleep. We just need to think about sleep when we get rest. So, anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate y'all. Love each and every one of yous. Behave yourselves, and see you this evening. Stay frosty. Don't join the cults. Don't have idols. Don't do any of that shit. Use your critical thinking skills. And if you want to support the show, if you're brand new, if you're just seeing this in the future, or whatever, and you want to subscribe to us, we wouldn't mind if you did that. You could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to donate to the show, donation links are in the description below. If not, if you could share those out, I'd appreciate that too. Who's he calling? I said us. Me, myself, and I. John, you're always a young man. You'll always be a young man, my friend. So anyway, help out the show if you can. If not, just share it out, or just tell some friends, and tell some people outside your comfort zone too. If you know some people that you're like, what, maybe this person doesn't need to be watching mainstream media all the time. Maybe you should check out Warren's show and get some news from other independent sources and other media around the world that is not the United States. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna peace out. And I'll smell you tonight, I guess. Come on by, hang out. We'll have a good time. Peace!
This is City Alpha 5! Woo! A damn good song, wasn't it, dog? You like that song? All right.
Soon.
That's a big ass cock. I ain't even gonna lie. That's a big fucking cock. Big cock.